So picture a normal evening. The workday's finally done. You've turned off the computer screen, notifications are silenced, the room is quiet.
Right.
And right at that moment, just as you think you're going to relax, or maybe finally start that personal project you've been dreaming about,
You feel it.
you feel it. It isn't panic, it isn't despair, it's just this gentle pull in your chest.
Yeah.
A resistance.
That pull is fascinating because it's so deceptive. It's not a siren going off.
No.
It just quietly but firmly stops you from starting anything new.
Right. And I think most of us, we just brush that off. We have a whole catalog of excuses ready to go. You know,
Yeah, I'm just tired.
I'm just tired, or I need to rest, or the market conditions aren't perfect.
But the sources we're covering today, they suggest we are lying to ourselves.
Basically.
If we're being brutally honest, and that's really the mission of this deep dive. We know it's not fatigue, it's fear.
But we almost never call it fear. That's the trick, isn't it? We dress it up.
We do, we call it being realistic, or cautious, or knowing our limits. But the Stoic perspective, which we're really digging into today, it doesn't let us get away with that.
It cuts right through it.
It looks at that hesitation in the quiet room and asks a very uncomfortable question.
Which is?
If this isn't fear, why does it always show up right before the things that actually matter?
Oof. That is a core question we're unpacking. Why does it appear right before the things that matter?
Yeah.
We have a stack of insights here that completely reframe how we look at this emotion. The goal today is to stop seeing fear as this loud, screaming enemy we have to defeat,
In some big battle.
and start seeing it as a whispering signal.
Exactly. We're going to look at why modern fear is actually a life strategy, something we essentially learn to do to survive.
That's a strategy, I like that.
How society uses it as a mechanism of control, and most importantly, the specific Stoic strategies to function with fear.
Not get rid of it.
You know, because, spoiler alert, it's not going away.
Let's jump right in then. I think the biggest misconception, the one that makes us feel so bad about ourselves, is this idea that strong people just don't feel fear.
The illusion of strength. It's
Yeah.
one of the most damaging myths out there.
Right, like if I'm afraid I'm defective or something.
The source material is so clear on this. The people we think are fearless, entrepreneurs, leaders, artists, they haven't eliminated fear. They've just learned to mask it, or rather, they have a different relationship with it.
So feeling fear isn't a bug in the system, it's not a malfunction.
No, it's a feature. To a Stoic, fear is just a signal. But here's the twist.
Okay.
Most of us treat it as a signal to retreat, to back off. The Stoic sees it as a signal to stop and look closer.
A flag waving.
Exactly. It's waving and saying, hey, pay attention. Something important is happening here. Usually it means you're approaching the edge of your comfort zone.
Okay, I get that on a philosophical level, but if it's natural, why does it feel so paralyzing? I mean, biologically, we aren't running from lions anymore. Where does this specific modern paralyzing fear come from?
And this is where it gets really interesting. The sources dive into the origin story, and the big headline is, fear is learned.
Learned. Wait, I thought we were born with survival instincts, loud noises, falling, that sort of thing.
Sure, biological instincts are there, of course. But we aren't talking about the fear of a snake, we're talking about the fear of social failure. A baby isn't born afraid of being judged or sounding stupid in a meeting. We learn those fears through repetition, through reward and punishment.
I see. So growing up, we basically learn the rules of the game.
Exactly. We learn a very specific equation early on. Safety equals
Eating expectations.
and deviation equals risk. When you color inside the lines, you get praised. When you act weird, you get corrected.
We're just looked at funny.
And the brain is an incredibly fast learner. It records that data. Okay, stepping outside the norm leads to pain. Let's not do that.
So fear transforms from an emotion into a strategy.
Precisely. A strategy for survival in a social environment that judges quickly and forgives slowly. Fear becomes the logical response.
So when I feel that fear before speaking up, my brain is actually trying to help me.
It's trying to do you a favor. It's saying, hey, remember what happened last time you stood out? Let's just stay quiet.
That makes sense, but it's also kind of tragic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that strategy keeps us safe, but it sounds like it also traps us.
That is the first great Stoic paradox. We learn to fear to avoid loss, losing face, losing money, losing status.
Right.
But that very fear ends up stealing the most important parts of life. It steals our ability to try, to take responsibility, to choose a path without guarantees.
We survive.
We survive, sure, we pay the mortgage. But do we live?
Man, we survive, but do we live? That hits hard. But let's push on this. Is this all just in our heads? Because the source material suggests it's not just internal psychology. It talks about invisible mechanisms.
Yes, this is crucial. We need to stop thinking of fear as just a feeling. It's a structure. It's built into the world around us. The sources point to three main engines that drive this.
The school, the market, and technology.
You got it.
Okay, let's unpack those. Start with the school. And I assume we aren't just talking about getting an F on a test.
No, it's much deeper than grades. It's the gaze.
The gaze.
Think about the architecture of a classroom. In school, we learn that all behavior is observed, measured, and recorded. The teacher is watching. Your peers are watching.
Air stick. They go on a permanent record.
Exactly. You raise your hand, you get it wrong, everyone laughs. That memory burns itself into your brain.
So we get trained to believe that mistakes are permanent, that we can't just shake them off.
And the result is that adults often fear being wrong even more than children do. We've spent decades in a system that remembers mistakes far longer than it remembers efforts.
We walk into a boardroom at age 40.
But emotionally, we're still that 10-year-old kid afraid the teacher's gonna scold us.
That explains so much about freezing up in meetings. Okay, what about the second mechanism? The market.
So in the market, the professional world fear shifts from moral judgment to exchange value.
Exchange value. Break that down.
It means your worth is determined by what you can produce, what you can be traded for.
So we aren't afraid of being bad people? We're afraid of being useless.
Useless, obsolete. We fear missing a KPI or sending a late email, not because of perfectionism, but because deep down we fear that if we stop producing, we lose our right to exist in the system.
To self-worth directly to efficiency.
Correct. And it creates this background hum of anxiety. Am I doing enough? Am I still relevant? And then you add the third layer, which is like an accelerant.
Yeah.
Technology.
A public eye.
Right. We have more tools to speak than ever before. We can broadcast to the world instantly, and yet we're more afraid to speak than ever.
Because we're afraid of being seen wrong. One tweet taken out of context?
One bad photo stripped of all context. So we enter an era of self-censorship. We silence ourselves. We curate our lives to look perfect, not real.
And the dangerous part is that this silence starts to be seen as wisdom. I'm being smart by keeping my head down.
When really we're just terrified.
So the question shifts from what do I want to do to
what is the least risky option available?
And that shift is the beginning of the shrinking self. Dreams shrink. Behavior shrink. And that leads to that hollow anxiety you mentioned at the start.
It's not a sharp pain, it's a dull ache. It's the feeling of being smaller than you know you are.
Let's talk about that ache. Because the sources call this a slow erosion. It's not a dramatic crisis, it's a boring tragedy.
Boring tragedy is such a perfect phrase for it, because Hollywood teaches us that fear is a panic attack, a scream.
Right.
But often, fear just looks like a very responsible, very normal life. You go to work, pay the bills, maintain relationships.
But there's no curiosity, no sense that you're actually choosing this life. You're just maintaining it.
It's like being on autopilot, but the autopilot is set to avoid crash, not fly to destination.
That's it.
It's passive anxiety. You're living a life where every major choice is an act of avoidance. And this puts people in what the sources call the gray zone.
The gray zone.
You aren't fully on your own side because you aren't doing what you want, but you aren't fully on the system side either. You're just existing, buffering.
Can we give some real-world examples?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us might be in the gray zone and not even realize it.
Oh, absolutely. Think about work. How many people stay in a job that feels meaningless?
A lot.
They don't stay out of loyalty. They stay because of the fear of not finding another job or the fear of being too old to start over.
They aren't in crisis, but they're eroding, losing a bit of their spark every Monday.
Or in relationships. I think that's even more common.
Avoiding the difficult conversation.
Yes. You know something is wrong, but you stay silent to keep the peace. The result isn't a fight. It's two people sharing a house, but never truly meeting each other.
Wow. That distance just grows until you're strangers, all because you feared a momentary conflict.
And that brings up the heavy question from the source.
If we don't choose, who is living this life?
It's a haunting question, right? Fear won't kill us physically, but it makes us live less every single day.
So what do we do? Because I know you're not about to say we can just burn the system down. We can't all just quit our jobs. That's not practical.
Right, and this is where the Stoic perspective is so grounded. It's not escapism. The Stoic admits, hey, your fear is rational. the world does punish deviation.
Okay, that's validating to hear.
The system wants stability, not your individual fulfillment. So the goal isn't to destroy the structure. The goal is to survive within it without losing your soul.
It's about drawing a line.
Exactly. We have to participate, pay bills, follow laws, but we need to create a non-negotiable zone, a boundary where our choices are not made out of fear.
This reminds me of that idea of small acts of defiance. It's not about quitting your job tomorrow in a blaze of glory.
No, that's usually just another form of panic. We're talking about small moments, a conversation you don't avoid, a no spoken clearly when you mean no.
Reclaiming the micro decisions.
It's about reframing responsibility. We can't control how the world reacts to us. We can't control if the boss gets mad.
But we can control the reason for our choices. That's the only thing we truly own.
And when fear becomes our standard operating procedure, it stops being questioned. It just becomes the norm. We need to interrupt that pattern.
Okay, let's get practical. The sources lay out a Stoic strategy toolkit. And the big shift here is changing the question. We stop asking, how do I stop being afraid? And start asking, how do I act while afraid?
That is the crucial pivot. If you wait until you aren't afraid, you will wait forever. The fear is a companion, not a barrier.
They look at the worst case scenario.
And ask, if the worst happens, can I endure it?
That sounds pessimistic, though. Why would I want to think about failing?
Because it's actually freeing. It cuts the power supply to the fear. Fear thrives on the vague monster in the closet.
Right.
When you turn on the lights and say, okay, if I fail, I'll have to find a new job. It will be hard, but I won't die. The monster shrinks. You realize you are durable.
The catastrophe isn't fatal.
Exactly.
Strategy number 3, the control axis.
This is classic Stoicism 101. Divide the world into 2 piles, my behavior and others' reactions. You invest 100% of your energy in your behavior.
And 0% in trying to control how others react, which is so hard to do.
It's incredibly hard. We spend all our energy trying to manage the reaction. Will they like it? Will they approve?
Yeah.
You can't control that. So every ounce of energy spent there is wasted. Focus on the work. Let the reaction be what it will be.
Okay, strategy number 4, call out procrastination.
Oh, this one is sharp. We love to rebrand our fear. We call it preparation or mulling it over.
I'm just doing my research. I need to read one more article.
Exactly. Stop that. If you are delaying because of fear, call it stalling. Say out loud, I am not doing this because I am scared.
That honesty is the first step.
You can't fight an enemy you refuse to name. When you admit its fear, you strip it of its disguise as prudence.
Strategy number 5, minimum viable action. This is my favorite one.
It's so powerful. Fear loves big, vague, overwhelming plans. I need to change my career is terrifying.
It's a mountain.
So don't ask how long will this take. Ask, what is the smallest concrete thing I can do today?
Literally send one email.
Draft 1 paragraph. Make 1 phone call. Fear hates specifics. Action kills fear because it forces you out of your head and into reality. And reality is usually less scary than your imagination.
And finally, strategy number 6, accept the price.
This is the mature part. Facing fear has a cost. You might be misunderstood. You might feel lonely. Acknowledge that price.
But then, and this is key,
Compare it to the hidden cost of the alternative.
the cost of living a life defined by avoidance.
Exactly. Avoiding that difficult conversation might keep you safe today, but the cost is self-betrayal. The cost is knowing deep down that you didn't speak up.
And that cost accumulates.
Over a lifetime, it's so much heavier than the momentary discomfort of speaking out. The regret of not acting is always heavier than the burden of action.
So we aren't looking for a happily ever after where we're fearless superheroes.
No. The promised land isn't a place where fear disappears. It's a place where we stop pretending to be calm and simply stop letting fear drive the car.
It's a quiet freedom.
Yes, not freedom from fear, freedom from letting fear decide for you. It's about agency, knowing your hand is on the wheel, even if your hand is shaking.
And I think this is so important for the listener to hear. The Stoics don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be awake.
Awake enough to realize who is holding the steering wheel in that specific moment.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with that final provocation from the source. It's a tool for daily life.
Right. When you're about to delay something or bite your tongue and stay silent, ask yourself this one question.
Is this necessary caution, or is fear speaking for me?
Is fear speaking for me? It's so simple.
But so powerful.
It doesn't require a perfect answer. It just requires you to pause and check. Because if you can name it, you can navigate it.
And that is where the real work begins. Not in some grand philosophical debate, but in that quiet room when the screen is off and you have a choice to make. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
A pleasure as always. Keep asking the hard questions.
See you next time.